Hello, William Johnson here. In this episode, I'm going to go over some different styles of playing in a contemporary worship, soft rock, pop context, playing the cajon, that is, as the primary drummer, like an acoustic situation. So think along the lines of Vertical Church, Bethel, Hillsong, Elevation, that particular style. In the next, after the next few videos, I will eventually get into some contemporary gospel and gospel styles as well. However, for the next few series, next few videos of this series, I'm going to talk about this soft rock and pop context. So I'm going to play the cajon with a track that has a piano and acoustic guitar in it, and then I'll explain a little bit about what it is that I'm playing. Now, the rhythm that I'm playing is very basic. I start off with a different direction. I tend to like to play with a ballad situation in 4/4. Very typical situation. I tend to like to play with two bass notes up front. So a boom, boom, da, boom, da. But in this situation, I just play one, and you'll see that. So let's jump into the clip, and then I'll explain a little bit about the rhythm. All right, so I used some variations of an actual theme that I was going by, and that theme was playing in what we would call a 2/4 driven rhythm, a 2/4 rhythm. So where the time signature is 4/4. So the pattern of the way that I'm interpreting and counting, the pattern of the acoustic guitar and the piano is in a 4/4 pattern. So 1, 2, 3, 4. From the start of patterns that I hear the melody, and till the pattern starts over, and I'm anchoring that off of the pattern starting at the lower note. So boom da dum boom 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 ba boom 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 ba boom 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 boom. So you hear that, and then the guitar is playing it's playing like a 16th note, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4. That's a tempo. 1E. That's the pulse that the acoustic guitar is playing, and the low note that I'm hearing on it. The low note is returning as a melody. Is I hear a pattern returning back at the first beat. That's how I'm counting it, okay? And I'll play it as I'm talking as well. But let me explain what I'm doing on the cajon really quick. So on the cajon, I'm using that first part of the melody with the piano. Boom, 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 boom. On the bass note, boom. So the low chords in the piano, as well as the beginning of the pattern of the acoustic guitar, I'm playing on a bass note. The second beat, I'm playing a snare. And then the fourth beat, I'm also playing a snare. And those are the most important for me, the theme and the anchor. So boom, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, every now and then I play on the third beat, I play a bass note, but not always. Also, every now and then on the after the second beat, I play a slightly, not muted, but slighter tone, quieter snare. It's not as loud. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Or a bass note after the second beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And you'll hear that quite a bit in my playing there. And this is a ballad style, right? So you'll hear that a lot. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So as opposed to just playing the bass note all the time on the first beat, 1, 2, and the third beat, 3, 4. Dun, 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 2, 3, dun, dun, dun. That works too. You could just play this through the whole song. 1, 2, 3, 4. But every now and then I switch it up. So the theme is that first beat on a bass note, the second beat being on the snare, and then the fourth beat being on a snare. Now you can explain it many different ways, but I'm just going to say that's the main theme, and everything else is a variation on that theme. But the idea here is that I play a bass note, the emphasis on the first beat when the pattern starts over on beat 1, bass note. And then I'm playing a snare on beat 2 and beat 4. Okay? So you hear that, listen to that. Now, let me play the track while I talk you through my ideas, what I'm hearing from the acoustic guitar and what I'm hearing from the piano, and different variations that I take, and then you can glean your own ideas based on that. Okay, so you hear the track, and I'm going to count. The way that I hear the count, I'm going to interpret the count as the music is going. 2, 3, 4. Boom, 2, 3, 4. Boom. You hear that piano? 3, 4. Boom, 2, 3, 4. Now, so the piano's going dun dun da dun dun dun. So I anticipated that, and that's a good place I can sync up with my bass note. Da boom. And 4 and boom, 2, 3, 4. Boom, 2, 3, 4. So we're listening to the piano and taking that piano as cues of where we want to play with the cajon. Now, this is good when we're listening to a track and we're analyzing what we want to play or how we're going to compose our parts if there's no other drums. Now, if the drums are there, then you can count them. But this is just giving you a couple ideas of playing what perhaps a drum set would do on the cajon in this ballad, maybe church worship style of music, or something that would be similar. If you already have an idea of what you're going to play, then perhaps the piano is going to follow your groove. But often the song and the chords are dictated by the lyric, so whoever's singing. So those places are already there. So if that's the case, you're also following what the singer might do, but the singer doesn't always come in right on one because of the human voice and just the cadence. And I said, or whatever the words would be, I long to hear, I da 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 1, 2, 3. So there's often a pickup like an and 1. So after beat 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, sing 1. So you see, I mentioned something and come in. Not all the time, but sometimes that happens. So, but either way, my point is that the piano is often serving the melody that will help the lyric, right? So it's often there. So we can find cues of what our rhythm is going to be. Now, sometimes it's vice versa, and we're really going to go with what the drums are going to do. You don't have to play the drum set this way. I'm going to play a couple other ways in some other videos and some other ideas. It doesn't always have to be the bass note comes right in on 1. Every now and then I disguise that 1. So 1, boom, 2, 3, 4, 1. You don't always have to play a low note on the 1, but it is Very typical and common to do that in this style of music. The other thing is that the bass and the kick drum have to have some kind of consistency. Well, they don't have to have it, but they have some consistency, and it helps everyone know where we're going. Anyways, I could get really deep into that. I'm not going to go. I'm just going to keep it more on the surface for right now. So anyhow, let's take a look at the guitar now. All right, that was the piano. Now let's talk a little bit about the acoustic guitar, what's happening and how we can draw rhythmic ideas from what we're hearing. There's cues and clues into some ideas that we can use, and we can compose on the cajon in an acoustic context or situation. All right. Now, we hear the guitar is doing a 16th note type pulse. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And the melody, there's a pattern that starts over. If we count it, it's in 4/4. So we can play a rhythm that supports that. Boom, ga, boom, ga, boom, bass, ga, bass, ga. So there's that bass, using the bass note to say where that one is, just to kind of bring things together a little bit. It doesn't have to always be that way, but it's one of the things that we can do to come up with a rhythm to support the acoustic guitar as well as the vocal. This is very typical, I almost want to say standard, but I want to maybe stray away from standard, the word standard. But it is often seen within these contexts, using, hearing the pattern. And that's where having the ability to count really helps when it comes to beginning on the cajon. Is doing. Anyhow, these are just a couple ideas. I wanted to kind of put you in my mind of how I'm interpreting what's happening in a ballad acoustic scenario, and give you a couple ideas or ways to play, and show you how there can be a theme and then variations, and how we can listen to the other instruments and then come up with a composition or a way that we're going to play. The whole goal of this is, as an exercise, is to have you listen to the other instruments. Now, some good exercises to play to develop this way of playing or this sort of rhythm is to practice with the metronome, playing on 1 and 3 over and over with the metronome. So turn the metronome on to a slow tempo. It could be the same tempo of the song that we did, and play 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to play a bass with our right hand, all the bass notes on 1 and 3. And on our left hand, we're going to play snares on 2 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So boop, 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 boop. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And switch. So do that for a couple minutes and then switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, these are very simple exercises, but you want to count out loud and practicing, making sure that you have that down, that you're able to do that. Play a song around that tempo and count it out and play it, okay? Now, the next thing, which is going to be a little trickier, is now playing the bass note on the ands. And let's start by playing a bass note on the and of 3, okay? So we're going to play on 1, 2, 3, the and of 3, and beat 4. Okay? So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, bass, bass, 4. Okay? Not bass, bass. bass, bass. So count it. Turn on the metronome. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Boom, dum, Switch hands. After a couple minutes, do the same thing with the metronome. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And 1, 2, turn on a song similar to this. See if you can hear where the melody, see if you can hear different melodies from the piano and the guitar. And see if you can count where if they're in 4/4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And see if you can count where the 1 is, where the melody starts over. And play on your cajon the bass note on 1. Boom, 2, 3, 4. Do the same thing with the other notes. And this is just an idea of getting you to start intentionally hear and listen to what the other instruments are doing so that you can start playing what the drum set would often play in this context. And now you're starting to fall in that role, in that category, in that vein. So it's just one simple exercise for one theme of one style of playing. And we'll explore this a little bit more in the next video. Anyways, thanks for watching and hanging out. And until next time, I'll see you soon.